Hey everybody, my name is Peter Mancuso.
And I'm Brian Koch.
And what we're going to be doing now is in honor of Pixar releasing its 19th film, Coco, in December of this year, we're going to be sitting down and watching every Pixar movie in release order, and then talking about it for however long or however little we want to discuss it. Just a background on us, we both go to the NYU Tisch Film School of the Arts Television.
Yes. So our opinions are very qualified and good.
So we have very good. Brian is a self-described Pixar
fanatic, as it were.
And I like movies. So today we're going to be talking about the first ever Pixar film, The Toy Story.
No, I think they got rid of the "the." I don't think they had the "the"
somewhere in production. So Brian, let's start with a really easy question.
Okay.
And by easy, I mean extremely complex.
Oh no, you threw me for a
loop. What is it about the original Toy Story that made it so captivating when it came out, that helps it endure, what is it, 22 years later?
Yeah.
So what is it about it that made it so popular?
Well, it's a good thing you added what made it endure, because at the time, of course, it's the first full-length computer-animated feature film. Mm-hmm. So obviously a lot of eyes are going to be on it, like, oh, what's this? This new, like, it looked like unlike anything you'd ever seen before. Mm-hmm. So everyone's going to be like, all right, well, let's check it out. But what really then did it was, like, look at the Oscars, then it gets its Special Achievement Academy Award for its revolutionary effects, computer. But it gets a screenplay nomination. And that's the
really?
Story. Yes.
I did not know that. The Academy Awards. So
yes.
Screenplay.
It gets a Best Original Screenplay nomination.
Really? I did not know. So you learn something every day,
yeah.
right?
So, that just goes to show, and I think, like, don't quote me on this, that might be the first animated film to get a screenplay nomination.
It would not be the last, right? Because didn't Inside Out also get a nomination?
A lot of Pixar movies have gotten, Toy Story 3 got a screenplay nomination, a lot of them, WALL-E, a bunch of them. But yeah, no, Toy Story, so, like, right off the bat, you had, like, this sort of captivating story that, like, got everyone's attention, and a lot of the reviews would only mention the technology for, like one line. So with a lesser film, it would just be like, all right, the whole review is that, like, the movie itself, not that interesting. Let's talk about the technology. But no, Toy Story it was the movie, and against all odds too, because you would think even if it was, like, pretty good, like, everyone would just talk about its historical significance. But no, so that's the reason it continues to be so popular today, because without that, then it'd just be like, all right, well, I mean, it was important at the time. No, it doesn't. No, it's a great movie.
Yeah, and that's the thing, is that, like, the technology and the strides that it made,
right.
It still, has a really captivating story and characters. And I'd be really interested, maybe you can answer this.
Yeah.
This was not the first computer animated thing.
No.
Ever. This is the first feature-length film to do so, but Pixar had done a couple of shorts before that.
Yeah.
How what do you think, like had the public, like, seen those shorts? Like, was this, like, their first exposure to this kind of animation?
I mean, like, first exposure, no, because, well, basically, at first it would be like they would show their shorts at, like, this thing called the SIGGRAPH Convention Center, which was just a lot of, like, like, insiders would go to that, so the public's not really getting in on that. But Luxo Jr., that was nominated for an Academy Award, so, I mean, not that it would have entertained a wide release.
So some people had seen it.
But there would be, like, some snippets of it. But more importantly, though, while they were, like, I don't want to say falling on, like, hard times, but, like, they weren't, like, exactly raking in the money at this point. Yeah. Let's put it that way. Yeah. They started making commercials. So you would see some sort of stuff on TV of, like, oh, okay, well, then there's this. So this medium had been established, but, like,
kind of in the public consciousness for a little bit.
Absolutely not to the extent of Toy Story. So it would be very eye-catching in that way, yeah.
So what about it besides the technology? Like, what is it about? Let's talk about the script.
The script.
Because the script is very interesting. Mm-hmm. Me personally, I love this film. I love this film. So the script is super interesting because it has a very different kind of flair to it than a lot of the other Pixar movies. Because this movie, they're still trying to figure out their footing, what they want to, what they want.
They're going into uncharted territory. It's never been done before. And keep in mind, this is in the midst of the '90s Disney Renaissance. Yeah. They had a lot of different things, and they explicitly set out to sort of defy some of these tropes that they didn't necessarily really want. Like, they didn't want to have, like, a villain or it to be a musical, like, No I Want song, none of that.
Which, from my understanding, there was, like, a meeting with Disney originally where they were like, can you have, like, blank, blank, blank? Like, can you have songs? Can you have, like a love interest? Can you have this big thing? And they were just like, no. Yeah. No, we're good. We don't want to do that. So the writers on it, I think there's 4 writers technically credited. And it's interesting because they all bring kind of something different. The only one that really catches your eye when you see it is, of course, Joss Whedon, which is so interesting to think about. Because I didn't even, I knew who Joss Whedon was, and I rewatched Toy Story a few years ago, and I saw his name on it.
Yeah.
And I was like, Joss Whedon, like Buffy Joss Whedon, Avengers Joss Whedon. At the time of this recording, he's not in great water.
No, absolutely not.
But for all intents and purposes, he brought a really interesting, attitude to it. We talk about this because when you watch Toy Story, this original film anyway,
right.
It feels very different from all the other Pixar films in that it has like this 90s edge,
a bit of a quippy edginess to it. It's sort of dry and understated and raw and like. You don't quite.
Probably not okay for kids. Probably not all of it. Like penis envy jokes, but like laser envy, or like I think the one when we watched. I think the biggest one we were like, "What the hell?" was the one about the noose.
Oh yeah,
where if you don't
an etch a sketch.
When after Woody knocks Buzz out the window, and everyone's like, "We're gonna kill you, Woody," and then Andy comes back in the room and they'll hide, and then Woody looks over at Etch a Sketch.
And Mr. Potato Head goes.
Looks at this, and there's a noose. And there's
on the Etch a Sketch. And by the way, that's like a copyrighted. I can't believe like the Etch a Sketch was like, oh yeah, okay, put the noose on the noose and or like Mr. Potato Head with like kiss ass like I mean like how did I don't know how Hasbro like cleared that. Well, they had a lot of famously they would say how they were on the phone constantly with Mr. Potato Head's lawyers to get him into the film. So I can't imagine that.
Not like Mr. Potato Head as a toy, but like as a celebrity.
As a celebrity.
his lawyers, his agent.
Correct.
But like there's all this kind of like you don't really see that in the for better or for worse, because they can take a different turn where they become a little more like this movie. As much as I love the original Toy Story, this movie couldn't be nominated for like Best Picture in terms of what the Academy's looking for. Do you know what I mean? Like something like Finding Nemo, and like kind of like you don't see that in Finding Nemo or Up or Toy Story 3 even. That kind of like edginess is really clever and like we like that, but like the Academy, at least how it is today, or at least especially back then, would never. Animation notwithstanding, the fact that it was animated, but like it's kind of a little like immature and crude. You could say it's immature and crude. I would say it's just good.
Of course, not so much as like it would have been under like Katzenberg's direction, which is another whole thing of how like he wanted Woody to be a lot more like kind of mean-spirited to the point that when they screened the initial reels, everyone was just like, well, this is just going way too far. And you could see a lot of like kind of or at least one scene in which what the original kind of product was like, and it was just not. Yeah, it was taking it way too far for sure. So like they just kind of reel it back in. It was more just like every once in a while you get a little oh that's in the movie, but overall I think it does still have like this like innocence to it that's very like charming and accessible. Like it's not like we sit here going like oh edgy, but like it doesn't like it doesn't like flaunt it in any way.
As a kid I never felt like this is like above my age.
Yes.
Like I never felt like I never was like, oh my god, like this is kind of like
it doesn't draw attention to it.
Yeah, no.
Yeah, which is really smart. I think that helps be a lot more likable
because it blends really well.
It does.
Surprisingly so, because you have like it. And this is the thing I think when you talk about with every Pixar movie, it's a movie about blank.
Right.
So I shouldn't care about it, which is such a testament to all the Pixar movies. But we'll start with this.
Well, it just makes it seem more realistic because you have the toy, and like you could portray the toys in like any sort of way, but the fact that it's like it's a staff meeting and you have lines like
which is hilarious.
Plastic corrosion awareness, so like adults then kind of like can like ease into it, like just so effortlessly. Yeah.
Because I feel like my parents can get into this.
I
think my father could enjoy Toy Story. And he doesn't really he likes like The Godfather and like other historical movies and like maybe some sports movies. That's really it.
Okay.
And so I feel like he could get into this because it's like very there's like that door in or that little kind of like in so to speak. But let's talk about like the characters. Because they were very different.
Oh, for sure.
Right? Do you want to talk a little? So, like, they were originally going to be a lot more like. Woody was going to be like an asshole.
Yeah. Well, you had that, but like even before that, originally Toy Story was going to be a 22-minute television special based on their previous story, Tin Toy. So it would have been a Tin Toy Christmas. So then from Tinny evolved Woody, and then there was like the character Buzz Lightyear, who had names like Lunar Larry and such. He was like a shorter guy, and then of course came along Buzz Lightyear. And yeah, like at first, then Woody was a lot more kind of like overtly just like douchey, and to the point that he intentionally pushed Buzz out the window And
which completely reshapes and recontextualizes the film.
In a very negative way.
Yeah.
And, like, thank God that they, you know.
Now, how would the story be resolved?
It can't.
Because I don't know how you do, like, the ending of this movie with, like, the lesson Woody learns if he's that bad at the start. So was it a different ending?
I mean, what? They just get rid of Woody? That's the end of the movie?
The end of the movie,
I don't think so.
Yeah, the end of the movie, they just all died.
No. I wouldn't think that. I would think it would just be, then Woody has to realize... Like, probably not much of, like, his arc would have been shaped, because, like, keep in mind, this was a bad version of the film.
Yeah,
so
this is like...
It doesn't, like, you know, like balance out to that. But also that, like, yeah, like, it would throw it off too much, because, like, in the film that we got, a fair portion of it is devoted to Buzz and sort of his existential realization of who he is, and... If you were emphasizing so much about how Woody's a jerk, then it would be, like, overshadowed, I feel like. So, like, I think it was important to steer away from that. But yeah, going back to, like, the script and just, like, the overall pacing, like, this is an 81-minute movie.
Yeah, and that's the thing is that until Coco comes out,
which is apparently 75 minutes.
We don't have a confirmation on this, but, like, from what we heard, 75 minutes, which is, like...
That's shocking.
That's really shocking.
Yeah.
Well, it's because they have the Frozen...
The Olaf's Frozen Adventure.
The Frozen Olaf's...
Like 22 minutes. Yeah,
so it's like overall it's like 90 minutes.
Maybe.
But before that one comes out, this is the shortest one at 81 minutes, which is very short. I think it's just barely feature length. I think feature length is like 65 or 75 minutes.
Yeah.
And this is like...
It made it.
10 minutes. Yeah, it just barely makes it, right? But it's paced so well.
Perfect.
I remember turning to you going like, how long has it been?
Yeah.
And we like, looked at the time of it. And it's like, it only been like 15 minutes, but we were already...
You have strange things, the montage, then going on. You already established Woody's jealousy, who Buzz is, where the story's going. And yeah, it just boom, 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 boom. No time wasted in this film whatsoever. And another thing that like I just sort of like noticed rewatching it again was like, boy, like when they introduced Sid, you would think there would be some sort of obligatory scene of like Sid and Andy don't interact once.
Not one, which is weird.
Which is interesting when you like take a step back. Like, oh wow, you think there'd be some sort of, since they're neighbors, like Sid would be like, well, hey Andy,
maybe that's why that's what you said this last time. Maybe that's why they're moving.
Oh yeah,
because
Sid's such a jerk.
Maybe Andy's so afraid of it. Maybe there's like a restraining order.
Of course.
This is the dark Pixar theories.
The dark Pixar theories.
The dark Pixar theory of the episode. There has to be one. The theory, the toys in Toy Story are toys.
Yes, and of course Woody was given to Andy by his father as he contracted polio. It was like the last thing that happened.
There's a fan theory.
Yes. Well, not really a fan theory. What happened was, okay, for anyone who missed it, this was pretty recent.
Because I never heard of this.
Mike Mozart. Do you recall Mike Mozart of Jeepers Media? He had this Failed Toys YouTube channel, and basically he came back recently to talk about how he had this conversation with the late great Joe Ranft, and about like.
For those who don't know, Joe Ranft was an important figure at Pixar.
Extremely.
Probably would have ended up directing one of the films, but he died like right before Cars.
Absolutely, and you know him as the voice of Heimlich and Wheezy, but anyway. So he claimed that he had this conversation with Joe Ranft about like sort of the origins of Woody and how it was a really interesting story, but then Andrew Stanton went ahead and like debunked it like completely on Twitter. So like it's unclear if like okay like did Mike Mozart make it up, or is that just something Joe Ranft sort of came up with on his own, he didn't discuss with anyone else. But like basically like rewatching it again, like when Andy like loses Woody, it's like oh I left him in the car, you would think Andy's mom would be like, boy, that toy that Andy, that your dad gave you right before you died of polio.
I'm a little more concerned about that.
I'm a little bit more worried. Yeah.
My thinking is that they must have just gotten a divorce.
Yeah.
Yeah, because like I mean maybe it's also just like we're reverse engineering the theory. So like the effects of the theory really don't have any effect on the movie. But I feel like if he died, it would be a much more somber environment.
Well, there's that. And there's also the whole thing of, like, if he died, then everyone's like, well, there would be pictures of his father in the house.
Like, all over the place.
Yes.
Oh, absolutely.
But what was so interesting about the theory that, like, Mike Mozart shared was that the pictures of Andy are not of Andy. They're of his father when he was younger, because it's his old home that they're living in, and it's because, Andy has, like, it's purportedly Andy has glasses in one of the pictures, so it's like, oh, Andy doesn't actually have glasses, blah, blah, blah. Like, so it was a lot, but anyway.
That's a little too much for me.
It was a little too much, yeah. But it was interesting. It was an interesting listen. If you want to listen to what is confirmed to now be non-canonical.
Non-canonical, yeah.
By one of the film's writers.
By Andrew Stanton.
By Andrew Stanton.
Who directed, for those of you who don't know, Finding Nemo,
Wall-E,
and then Finding Dory.
Yes.
Right. The trifecta.
The trifecta.
As they say.
Right.
Yeah, so, let's talk about performances.
Performances.
Of those characters. Because, like, let's, I guess, go into like the context of like up until the Katzenberg era. You really don't have like famous people being.
Not really until the genie in Aladdin, Robin Williams.
Yeah,
that's what really what heralded it in.
Yeah, you know, you're right.
Yeah.
Because I guess with Beauty and the Beast, like there was like people who knew who was the one who played like the pop.
Oh, Angela Lansbury.
And people kind of knew who she was.
Right.
I think the guy who voiced Lumiere was like kind of famous, but like, not by name, but like.
Right, but like in the like theatrical sense, like you don't have like I mean, by the time then you get to
it wasn't being advertised
have,
as like Angela Lansbury in Beauty and the Beast.
By the time you get to The Lion King, you'll have like Jeremy Irons or like Jonathan Taylor Thomas as young Simba, who's then like entertaining like a sitcom career at that point. He's on Home Improvement.
Oh really?
Tim Allen. Yeah. No, it's funny. They had a lot of like Easter eggs on Home Improvement about Toy Story and Lion King because you have Tim Allen and Jonathan Taylor Thomas.
Oh, okay.
On the show. Yeah. So there's a lot of stuff like that. But yeah, Tim Allen actually, like I don't know if you know this, he wasn't originally the voice.
Oh wait, I wasn't who? Oh, I know it, but.
It was Billy Crystal.
Billy Crystal, yes.
To the point that they made 2 animation tests. One for Tom Hanks using audio from Turner and Hooch, a movie with a cop and a dog. Like so, basically they wanted Tom Hanks because they were like, we need someone who's likable even when they're young. Yeah. So they went after Tom Hanks and then they sent him back.
Because he is very likable.
He is very likable. Oh, like everyone knows.
Like Tom Hanks could play. I think if he played Hitler, like he would still be somehow.
He'd be like, oh, Hitler.
Like Hitler.
I like that. Yeah. No, but then with Buzz Lightyear, then they took apart from When Harry Met Sally, like this little spiel about like the coffee table or whatever, and they sent it to Billy Crystal. He didn't. I guess like he didn't really see enough to really understand how it would work, and like biggest regret of his career, of course, and then. He would go on to play Mike Wazowski.
So controversial opinion. Like I think, especially I think Mike Wazowski's a better role. Than Buzz Lightyear would have been.
Better role for him.
Yeah.
Buzz Lightyear. Yeah.
And then, but also I think like maybe it would have been he would have been more famous because Buzz Lightyear is probably an arguably more famous character.
Right.
But I personally enjoy Mike Wazowski more than I enjoy Buzz Lightyear.
Mm-hmm.
But that's a discussion for another.
Tim Allen also just kind of like remolded the character a bit into like he played it more like it was like this cop, a little bit more like down to even though he was the lead.
Very
formal.
You're like, oh, hello, I am Buzz Lightyear, right? Like very much sounding like an action figure.
I can't imagine Billy Crystal doing it that way. Buzz would have been way different if it was Billy Crystal.
If anything, Billy Crystal would have been a better Woody.
Yes.
Than a Buzz.
Because Buzz, I feel I can't see it as anything other than like Buzz, like just sort of being like this like pointed sort of like yes.
And that might just be because of our we've seen it,
right?
So it's hard to imagine.
Yeah.
But then again, also I'm sure at that point Woody was an asshole and Buzz was like, I think I've seen some of the you can look up a lot of these like little animation things and like Buzz like instead of being green he's like red.
Yeah. I think that's the point. He was like Lunar Larry or whatever.
And he was like little, so like Woody was gonna be like probably the size of like a child.
It was also he was a ventriloquist dummy originally. Yeah.
And then Buzz was I guess maybe he wasn't actually smaller. It was just a comparison to Woody. But like Buzz looks like
he was small.
This big. He was almost like a Happy Meal sized toy.
Mm-hmm. Which of course we'd later see in the short small fry.
In the short small fry. Yeah.
Yes.
Fun fact. You know this. Fun fact on the Toy Story DVD.
Oh yeah.
There's like secret little like shorts, like 2-minute shorts. That you have
to, the Easter eggs on disc 2, yeah.
On disc
and on the
2.
Blu-ray, they just kind of like put them there.
Which is no fun because like you had fun like looking for them, right?
Yeah. But they were Toy Story treats.
Were those the original voice cast or were they different voices? Because I remember them sounding really.
Not all of them are. I think Woody, in most of his appearances outside of the films and like shorts that they would do later, it's his brother Jim Hanks. I think Buzz might have been like Pat Fraley or something.
I remember.
But I know Rex is Wallace Shawn, and was John Ratzenberger him? It might have been Andrew Stanton actually, like subbing in for him. I know he did that for the Buzz Lightyear Starkman movie. But yeah, those shorts it was the Toy Story treats. They aired on ABC One Saturday morning, like interstitials, sort of just I guess like to keep like the characters alive, have like some sort of way to like get them on TV, because that was also a point where they would have like all their hit movies would have TV shows. But of course with Toy Story, I mean like the CG, like how are you gonna then do that? Like okay, like we're gonna sustain this though, yeah. So that didn't really quite end up happening. Yeah. But speaking of home video releases, this is actually something that originated with the 3D re-release of the 2 Toy Stories, but this is a change that is absolutely unforgivable, and that's you know what I'm talking about.
This is like. You know how, like, 90s kids will remember this, right? This is I'm shocked that they would get rid of this. It's such, like, an iconically, like, Disney 90s VHS thing.
And we're going to explain the problem, and I'm going to say how you can fix it. Because you can absolutely fix it. So please, Disney and Pixar, if you're watching this. Right?
If Bob Iger...
Bob Iger, yeah.
So for those of you who don't know the issue, why don't we say the issue?
So this is the issue. Okay, you remember at the beginning of Toy Story, you have that classic, like, sort of then, like, the white castle with the blue background.
But it was in CG.
Which was the Disney castle, which was, and it went for, like, the first then sort of, like, run of Pixar films that had this. But Randy Newman's score for it was original. It's just part of the Toy Story soundtrack. It's the that whole thing. And it goes directly into the beginning of the movie to the point that, like, it, like, fades
with the clouds.
With the clouds. Yeah, and, like, the score leads straight in to the rest. And they just get rid of that now to put the new Disney logo followed by the Pixar logo, which it just kind of, like, awkward because then it fades and goes... and it's like,
It's here's the thing, is I could forgive it visually. It's annoying that we lost, like, that really cool, like, piece of history, like, this is the first time it was the CGI thing ever.
Yeah.
But both of them do a fade in.
It's ingrained into the film.
But the issue, I can forgive that, because changing one logo fade to this movie, fine.
But we lose
the
score.
But the audio is the most jarring thing, because it fades out from, like, the silent, like, the Pixar, the lamp, and then the little sound effect of it moving its head, and then awkwardly fades into the soundtrack.
Yeah,
that's the biggest issue with it.
You could try to put it over the Pixar logo, but this is what I said, because the Pixar logo wasn't originally in front of Toy Story because Pixar hadn't been declared as public yet. But anyway, this is what you do. You have the new Disney logo at the beginning, then do the Pixar logo, then do the old Disney logo, and just there's the film right there. Like, I know Universal doesn't have like the new logo and the old, but this is really important. Trust me. Okay, like it needs.
This is a big deal. World hunger, forget it.
No.
This is it's this.
We have our priorities straight.
Yeah,
but yeah.
Back to the performance.
Back to the performance.
Back to the performances. Something you're gonna notice on this show. We get derail a lot, but hopefully it's interesting.
Yes.
It's interesting for us. So at the end of the day, this is just fun for us.
Yes.
So
we don't really care.
We don't really care what you think.
But that's the thing. The people at Pixar, they would do it for them. They would try to make themselves laugh, and then everyone, it's not like, oh, we're trying to make it for kids. No. Yeah. So we're following the Pixar model. So if you have a problem with us, you have a problem with them.
Yes, exactly.
Okay.
So
continue with the performance.
But I think it's so, like, obviously Tom Hanks.
Yeah.
We kind of talked about the two of them. Mm-hmm. Like, they're Tom Hanks and Tim Allen. I almost said Woody Allen. Imagine Woody Allen playing Buzz Lightyear.
Oh dear.
But anyway, so besides those two,
well, Woody Allen, of course, had an important role in the second computer animated film ever made. But
Ants.
We'll get to that.
Ants. Did that come out before Bug's Life? That's the second.
Yes. Ants.
No. Maybe one day we'll do the DreamWorks movies. That'll just be us going.
Oh God.
Not all of them, but
no,
most of them. But besides those, what a really good supporting cast of characters.
Well, it's such an iconic ensemble when you look back on it, and like really, like especially in the first film, like none of them get like too much screen time, but they're all so memorable and likable, and you get behind them, and even though a lot of the time has to be spent with them having a misunderstanding towards Woody, you still like understand them and like them, and by the end they come back around, and yeah, it's a great cast. Of course.
Yeah. It's like we were watching it, and like all of the little quips or quotes, we were like saying them as the movie was going. Like Rex is probably my favorite.
Rex, yeah. Because especially once they got to Toy Story 2, they had this problem where like we're giving all the good lines to Rex. We love him so much, and they had to like scale back a little bit.
Well, because all the best lines. One of my favorites is great. Now I have guilt.
It's real. It's great. It's so funny. Like literally, all he has to do is go hooray, and it's hilarious.
One of the funniest moments in this movie is exactly that, where Woody tries to get back into the moving van without Buzz, and they still think he's a murderer, so they throw him off, and he falls off. But just no music, just quiet. You just hear in the distance of the neighbors like hooray!
It's hilarious,
and it's so funny. It might be the funniest moment in the movie.
It's up there. But yeah, I mean, just with the characters in general, I think one interesting thing to touch on is how some of them are these copyrighted. Then, like you have Mr. Potato Head and Slinky Dog, just sort of effortlessly molded into the rest of the cast, which are these original toys created for the film. So then, in order to decide like which they would put in there, it had to be toys that like stood the test of time, which I think has been really important in terms of then the movie has this time.
They just pick like whatever the coolest toy.
Right.
Like if you were to do it wrong today, like. This is gonna be really dumb, but like a fidget spinner would be.
Oh god.
No, seriously, you know what I mean?
No, it would be.
If they were to do it incorrectly, but like if it were to be done today, like that's what would be in it.
Yeah.
So they make good choices. Interesting choice not to do Well, they kind of do. I was gonna say they didn't do G.I. Joe, but they do like Combat Carl.
Combat Carl, yeah.
With the little toy that gets blown up.
Which I think they might have asked for it to be a G.I. Joe, but like they didn't want it like blown up in the movie.
Yeah, understandably so.
But also they asked Mattel for Barbie.
Well, I was gonna say is that
yes, which they didn't allow for, and of course then in Toy Story 2 they were more than happy to be like, yes, put her in. And to the point it culminates in Toy Story 3 where
she's like a major character.
We can do whatever we want, so we're having Barbie in there, we're having Ken, like this whole then sort
it's
of
like a major plot point.
We're like really then just like digging into the satire of like who Barbie and Ken are, and Mattel's just like, yeah, okay, go ahead.
Would Barbie have been like Bo Peep's character? Probably?
No. What she actually was that she was going to be in Sid's room, and she was going to be like the Sarah Connor type character that would like help like get Woody like out of it.
That might be the greatest thing I've ever like.
Yeah.
The most tragic thing to have been cut from any movie ever. So it's like Terminator.
Yeah, like Terminator.
Like Barbie, like with the camo, like the black.
Oh,
maybe. Oh my god, that's really funny.
It would have been great, but.
But actually, I didn't realize. So which ones are actually based? So Slinky is Slinky Dog a thing, or is just Slinky?
I'm not sure if they necessarily had. I think they had some sort of like Slinky.
I know Slinky. I've seen Slinkies before.
Right. They might have. Mr. Potato Head, of course. Etch-a-Sketch.
Piggy Bank doesn't really count.
No, that doesn't count.
That's just so.
That's not like a brand. Yeah.
That's still kind of like common.
Right.
And then Rex is obviously just like he's just a dinosaur.
Mm-hmm. But of course, it got to the point that then when they were talking about like, oh, how are we going to then do toys for this movie? Then Pixar was like, well, what do you mean? It's Toy Story. Like what do you
mean?
How
what do you mean?
But
there's an issue with merchandising.
Right, because they were like, well, it's all like toys that already exist and are owned by other companies. And they're like, well, what about Buzz? We got Buzz, we got Woody. And they said, well, those aren't going to sell anything.
Those aren't going to sell
Little
anything.
did they know, Buzz Lightyear, like the best-selling toy of 1995. A point that they like allude to in Toy Story 2 when you have that line that tour guide Barbie says, now finally in the film, says like, oh, back in 1995, short-side retailers not order enough dolls to.
That's actually a comment about.
It's a comment.
Like about like the real things, which is really.
And what's so great is that the small like Toronto-based company Thinkway Toys then got the rights to then do Toy Story, and they continue to like be like the front runners of merchandise.
Does that company still exist today?
Yeah.
Probably
they did merchandise for Toy Story 3, and yeah.
Probably stayed afloat because of Toy Story. Probably.
Good. Well, I'm glad.
Yeah.
They took a risk and it paid off.
They took a risk.
Yes.
Definitely. But really, let's look at the animation.
Yes.
Besides just like so there is that element of like okay.
The humans.
No, I was gonna say no. Well, yes, no, but I mean like like it's the first season. We kind of touched on this a little bit in the beginning. But, oh, it's such a look how cool this is.
Right.
But I think in just pure because these guys weren't chumps. These weren't nerdy computer. Well, they were nerdy computer guys.
Sure.
But I mean nerdy. Like they weren't like numbers. Like these were animators. Like these, a lot of them are coming from like the Disney tradition. From what I said, they're coming from Cal Arts, right? So they're really strong character animators. You know,
or having been fired by Disney.
Fun fact: John Lasseter was fired. From Disney for pitching
a CG Brave Little Toaster, essentially. To which they said the only reason we would do this is if it was faster or cheaper, which is not.
Which is neither.
It's neither. So yeah, it really then kind of. But it came back around to like they really wanted to like bring John Lasseter back once like Pixar was drumming up these sorts of getting Oscar recognition. So then, but he stuck to his gun. He stuck with Pixar instead of like going back to the company.
Yeah.
John Lasseter. So
he's what a good guy.
What a good guy. Yeah. Sorry, you were saying.
No, yeah. So like the character animations are so.
Oh,
they're a little crude sometimes, and but at this point it's kind of charming.
One thing I love.
20 years later, it's like really charming.
There'll be like little animations in the background. I'll be like, oh, Peter, like look at this character in the back. Like specifically, there's this one part when they're like rushing to get back into positions in Andy's room, and there's this teddy bear on the side that goes.
It's really funny.
Amazing.
It's really funny. And that's probably just like an animator, like, because and that's the thing about animation that's different from live action movies, is that everything has to be put there.
Right.
Like, it's not like, the extras just be like, we show on the New York City street, the extras are just people walking by.
Everything has to be
put there. So some animator, it's like 3 a.m, and he's like, oh, we did something, I gotta do this bear, okay. I'll do the first one, I'll see it and laugh. Like, I don't think it's funny. And that's something that's so great about movies like this is like you can just tell that like the people made this are having so much fun with it.
Woody especially, his face looks like transport you home.
And it is this great for the night. Also, I mean, I can't imagine like there's a lot of people who like they saw this movie and this was like I want to be an animator.
Oh, of course, yeah.
It changed their life because I have to imagine it must have been like when people went to go see
Snow White for the first time.
Oh, of course.
Or even more so, Steamboat Willie. Like seeing Steamboat Willie for like the first time, like people seeing it and being like, holy hooter, like holy wow, right? You know, so you know, aside from the technology of it though, like it's the animation is real. I think I've heard like a thing how they tried to make it like not look pristine because that's the temptation in computer generated imagery. So what they would do is like on like the door, they would add little like wood chips.
Right.
Like it was like chipped on the bottom, right, to make it feel a little more realistic because that's how it would look in real life.
And of course, what child's toys are like pristine and like the pristine condition? Of course not. They're gonna have some wear and tear, and they're not gonna be like sparkling. And the whole point, the reason why they chose toys in the first place was because like they're plastic. They don't like and
it looks good in CGI.
Yeah.
And the humans look a little, you know,
right, but they don't dwell on it. Yeah, exactly.
And that's the reason why you see more of a human presence in Toy Story 2 and then even more so in Toy Story 3.
Oh, yeah.
Is because the technology had started to kind of catch up with that, with what they were wanting to do. But it was a little too early.
Yeah.
You know, and that's kind of been the problem with CG. The eternal problem is that no matter how good the rendering is, it always looks like
you made a really interesting point to me recently about hand-drawn animation and how like no matter what, it's just that's what was drawn. So it's not like the quality of that. If it was well done,
the quality is based on the artistry, not the technology.
Yes.
You know, like Pinocchio.
Which of course, and not to say it's entirely based on the technology now. Of course not. But like.
Well, no. What I would say is that this is controversial opinion.
Oh.
I think I brought up with we were hanging out the other day. I think I brought up with someone we were talking. I think it was Tough.
Okay.
You don't even know what it was. The like 2D animation, like hand-drawn animation. Yes. If you watch Pinocchio now, as long as it's like a good rip of it, as long as it's like a good rip of it, like it looks beautiful, right? It looks art. You know what I mean? CG animation is beautiful, but in a different way. You know, because basically the mark of how beautiful CG looks is how realistic it looks.
Not necessarily.
And that's the thing is that most movies, because you're starting to see now, I think people are starting to realize what I'm saying is that basically for the longest time, like I don't think there's like a beautiful CG movie. Controversial opinion. Like I don't know, it's beautiful because it looks real, but in 20 years it's not. But what you're starting to see now is movies that are trying to look they're trying to look less real.
And
they're trying to be a little more stylized.
But you're wrong. Like WALL-E is beautiful. Finding Nemo is beautiful. They're so I mean you're wrong.
But what I'm saying is that they're beautiful in like how realistic they look.
Well,
and the way a photograph looks beautiful.
No.
But not in like an animation like art like visual artistic sense. You see what I'm saying?
I see what you're saying, but with Finding Nemo, like there were original animation tests where they tried to like model it after live action like reference footage, and they would compare them and be like, oh geez, we can't tell the difference. But we need to then pull this back because our goal isn't for it to be like so like realistic. It's because of then that uncanny valley effect, which you don't want. They try to make it stylized, and once they really then go into the like full on human foray with The Incredibles, of course, I mean like proportionally. Like
what I would say is, you know what's really really beautiful in Incredibles, like, and I don't mean beautiful like oh so beautiful, but like really artistic, like really stylized artistic, is that flashback opening, because I believe it almost looks cel shaded almost. It looks like a comic book almost in some parts of it, right? And so I think that's where CG needs to go if it wants to be because I think people are starting to come around and want traditionally drawn, whether it's on paper or on a computer, but like 2D animation. Okay. And I think we're coming around. So if CG wants to remain the
supreme,
the dominant animation art form, it needs to kind of develop more of a style. Because right now, it's basically for the first 20 years of its existence, starting with Toy Story, it's been a game of how real can we get this to look. And a great example, and we'll get to this eventually, is The Good Dinosaur.
Yeah.
Because The Good Dinosaur, you look at, I actually saw at NYU my freshman year, they had people come from The Good Dinosaur and show us like clips.
You're so lucky.
I know. It's the greatest experience of my life doing The Good Dinosaur. I don't know if you can tell. I'm not the biggest fan of The Good Dinosaur, but sorry. For those of you Good Dinosaur, you. But we showed clips and he was like, look at this. And it was a picture of like the green, whatever, I don't know his name, like the green like worm-looking dinosaur. Arlo, sure, yeah, Arlo, on top of like a mountain, and
you could see out and see like the forest and whatever, and it looked photorealistic. Even in video form, because some CGI looks photorealistic as a photo, but when you see it move, it doesn't. This looks like a video. Like, it looks photorealistic. I mean, you have a little, like, really poorly animated dinosaur. It looks like a worm. Like, he doesn't look, you know.
Looks like a worm.
Right? But like, everyone went, oh, I didn't start cheering, whatever. And I think I did as well, because I was like, oh my god, it looks so good, it looks so good. But that's not beautiful in the same way. Like there's a difference. Like, seeing a sunset in person is beautiful, but seeing like Starry Night is beautiful. But there are different kinds of beautiful.
I agree. That shouldn't be like the ambition, but I think a lot of like what they aim to do isn't just like seeking for like the realistic approach. Like The Incredibles like isn't like pretty to look at because it's realistic, nor is like any of these films really. But like anyone who then like goes to it, but like this definitely is very relevant to talk about in the sense that this is the start of computer animation, and now we're looking at like.
This isn't as much of a tangent as it sounds.
I'm trying to like retroactively justify it.
Yes.
But yeah, but you do have stuff now like you know like the Peanuts movie or Captain Underpants.
Those I was
specifically going after like this hand drawn then sort of look. So yes, like they do have this flair to them, but I think like CG definitely and trust me, I want to see hand drawn come back. And so does John Lasseter and like everyone like at Pixar. They want to then keep hand drawn alive, and I think it will come back once like everyone then.
What's the last
starts
one?
to miss it.
The Frog was the last one. Princess
No, Winnie the Pooh 2011 was the last from Disney.
Okay.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's weird that they would bring it back for that one for those one or two movies.
But we are getting a wide release hand drawn animated film this year. My Little Pony.
It's hand drawn.
Yeah, it's hand drawn.
Jeez, man. But anyway, I'll be there.
Yeah.
I'll be there first day opening night,
right?
Thursday night opening preview. No, but a good thing I heard, and this kind of goes to this. I think the best CG movies, and this has to do with Toy Story, is
thank God.
Even if it doesn't look like if it looks like they could be they look cartoony. So a good example is like the humans in Ratatouille don't look like humans. They look like they could have been drawn. Like they look very cartoony. They look like they could have been.
That's what I'm saying.
Hand drawn.
Yeah.
But not in the sense of Captain Underpants and Charlie Brown's a little different, where it's like actually trying to mimic.
Of course.
But this person I heard this say is like specifically because it was Brad Bird, because he comes from such a 2D background,
having directed the Iron Giant.
Having directed the Iron Giant, that his Pixar characters look like they belong in a 2D animated film. More so than the other ones, maybe necessarily. So I think they work the best when they look like they could be. So like Up is very stylized. Like they look very, like Carl looks like a square. Like he doesn't look.
I was just gonna bring him up.
And in Toy Story, I think this works well. Well, I mean, actually, they have their cake and eat it too, because it looks realistic because the toys are cartoony. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
So.
They did a good job writing that line.
Yeah. But it is weird about how CG animation will look. Like I'll go back to movies like Toy Story did not look. None of it looks bad. By any means, we watched a really good rip of a Blu-ray on our 4K TV, which you just bought. It looked really good.
Which by rip you mean the Blu-ray disc?
I didn't steal it. This is like
I own the Blu-ray disc. Like okay.
Yeah. And it looks really good.
Yes.
But like you can see like the imperfections in it, So it's interesting to see how like it ages. I remember being like, oh, it's not. I remember like 10 years ago being like, oh, well, it's not as good as WALL-E. But then you watch WALL-E now, you can see, and then you're starting to be able to see the imperfections now. So it's interesting. Like
I do think it's a compelling point that you make about like Pinocchio and how like there is a difference there for sure inherently. Yeah.
Let me ask you a question about this. Do you think this movie? I don't have an answer to this.
Okay.
And comment below if you have an opinion about this. All three of you watching. Imagine Toy Story as a 2D animated film. What do you think it would lose, and what do you think it would gain, if any?
Okay. I think what it loses is, and I mean like this is all like relatively speaking, it loses a sense of its scope, because there's something about like I think about shots like when we're at like the Dynaco gas station, right? And it's like I'm a lost toy, and we get that extreme wide shot. I don't think it would have the same impact in a 2D animated film. Do you know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
Just like this vast open space that really just sort of like captures just how small. That's something CG does really well. I think scale. And
okay.
Just how like the dimensionality of it. Like just sort
because
of.
there's more dimensions.
Well, of course, but like it gets across like just sort of like we're lost in like this huge world, and like that adds it like another layer of tension. What it would gain from it, like that's hard to say. I think just, I really don't know.
Because like, is this like whether a story makes you think of John Lasseter like this needs to be 3D animated, like that, or is it more just like we have this really great story and we also want to make a 3D animated movie, so let's just. Not even that it was good. Not to say that it was going to be developed as a 2D. My point being is that they were going to make one anyway,
right.
And this is just happened the story they came upon.
Right.
Like, do you think it gains anything? Maybe it doesn't. Maybe it doesn't gain anything.
Well, I mean, I just said what it gains, but like,
no, gains from being 2D.
What it would gain from being in 2D. I don't think it.
The only thing I can think of is just general perks of 2D versus 3D is what I was saying. Like it won't age.
Yeah.
It probably just that. Like it'll just have a different look. Yeah. Obviously, like it'll look like people who prefer the 2D aesthetic will probably enjoy it.
What you would think to say is like maybe then like it would look less stiff in terms of the character animation, but it doesn't look stiff. So, but like I feel like just theoretically, that's what someone could say.
Yeah.
In terms of like what the differences would be, but that's just sort of a fundamental like thing between computer animation and hand drawn. But like they do, like we said before, they do such a great job with character animation anyway. Yeah. But let's then talk a little bit about like just some other things on like a narrative level. How like there's this famous like what people spread as like a big plot hole with Toy Story, which is the whole thing of like, well, if Buzz then thinks he's a space ranger, then why does he freeze in Toy Mode? Okay. It would be like it's important to address this because you could call this a movie breaking flaw, but it's not. But what one could like propose.
Yeah. So basically, what you're talking about is like the idea of like what are like the rules of the toys?
Yes.
Like, are they rules? Are they like biological like things like they have to become toys when the humans are around? You know.
Which then I think the way that and like I've heard like some approximation of this before from like Pixar employees. I think probably the Youngers on Twitter has talked about it like various times. But essentially, how you have to look at it is like there's just like a certain kill switch that has to be actively like fought against for a toy to like be alive in the presence of human beings. Which I think that makes sense because then Buzz would just then sort of like go along with like this line of thought or this like repress this. And when Woody, of course, then with Sid in the end of the movie, then he would just like actively be like, I am doing this.
Yeah. And people bring up this flaw because they're trying to think like they're smart. Like, oh, I figured out that it does raise interesting questions.
Mm-hmm.
Like, are toys born?
Uh-huh.
Do they eat?
Mm-hmm.
Do they like what counts as a toy?
Mm-hmm.
Like, is it just every inanimate object comes to life when you're not around? Like, or like, is my watch a toy?
You know what
what
this just reminded me of? I haven't thought about this in years, but there was this Toy Story comic from Boom Studios in which Sarge and consequently the other army men wanted to then reveal that they were alive to Andy, and Woody had to stop them. And there was this thing that I remember that he makes like this speech about how like if you were to then show yourself as alive, you'd be a friend, but that's not what a toy's purpose is to be. I remember just finding that really.
Oh, that's super cool.
Yeah, you know.
Because a toy, because basically, well, that's the interesting. So not so much with this one, but really more so with Toy Story 2.
Yeah.
Not so much Toy Story 3. Toy Story 3 is a little more existential, but Toy Story 2 really explores the ideas of toys being basically analogs for parents.
Mm-hmm.
You know, which is a huge theme in like those early, probably up to the Incredibles. Mm-hmm. It's like a theme, right?
Oh yeah.
Not Bugs Life. Bugs Life is just about capitalism.
Circus bugs. How can you be circus bugs? Yeah, but no, with Toy Story, it just and you could also like then is it in line with then some sort of like a style of servitude that then they all just like
slaves. Yeah. So it does raise interesting questions.
I lean towards the parent like sort of then analogy for it, but I've heard other like.
Well, some parents would say they feel like slaves to their children.
Of course.
But yeah, because I mean I'm imagining like. Did Jesus have toys, and were they alive?
Right.
Were they sentient?
Uh-huh.
Who, if we're made in God's image, who are the toys made? Whose image? Our image? Do we create sentience for the toys? See, if you start thinking about it, it's like this can of worms, like this deep dark hole that you like can't get out of. Mm-hmm. But I think the movie is just so interesting and captivating on its own that you kind of like don't think about those things.
And the movie doesn't, but it doesn't entirely avoid them either, because it deals like head on with this whole then notion of like, well, Buzz is like just a toy, and then of course it's like, oh, well, you're not. Then it's just a toy. There's nothing better than being loved by a kid and such. So it does sort of then start to like analyze like internally like this notion of toyhood and the relationship to humanity. But it doesn't delve like too far, and it would be a mistake to delve far into, you know, like just sort of the logistics of it, because that's what we're here to do as like losers who are missing the point of the film.
Yeah.
But yeah, so there's that, and another thing that I thought that was interesting was just how many things, and of course this isn't to say they didn't plan this ahead of time, but there are a lot of different details that they pick up on in Toy Story 2 and sort of then pay them off, like it includes making Mrs. Potato Head a character. Or the mention of Zurg, and then we actually see Zurg on screen as well. Alice Toy Barn in the Buzz Lightyear commercial, exactly. So, and they utilize all these things. They go back and and it's really then just sort of smart how they take all of those then different things, and it makes it feel like such like a full series, and it tricks you into thinking that they planned it all along, which is how
which is
how you should do it if you didn't intend it that way.
Yeah. I'm trying to think. I think we've kind of covered a lot of stuff here.
Yeah.
I'm trying to think if there's anything else we wanted to touch on before we sign off here. Maybe go into the concept.
Yeah.
We really talk about.
Yeah.
It's really interesting.
It is interesting.
Like the old story goes like I was on a plane. The guy was like I'm on a plane, and this little kid was on the plane, and he like lost his toy, and he was like freaking out. Mom's trying to calm down, and then he's like, my thought was like, how do you think the toy feels, right? And that kind of becomes like the Pixar, almost like not the cliche, but like the joke of like, what if blank had feelings?
Yeah, of course.
Like what if toys had feelings? What if monsters had feelings? And then
it's sort of like taking the camera and like moving it over, and we're gonna focus on this instead.
Yeah.
Like it's Pixar's like gimmick, so to speak.
So you quote unquote gimmick, which it becomes hilarious with Inside Out. What if feelings had feelings?
Of course. Hilarious.
Yeah.
Let me keep dredging up this meme.
What's brave? Does if humans have feelings or bears?
I think they just skipped that one in the meme because they were like, oh, bears. They probably said bears. I don't know.
Yeah.
Anyway.
Bears don't have feelings.
What if explorers had feelings? Drop.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, I don't know, but yeah, no. The concept is then very interesting in that sense. I remember like John Lasseter then talked one time about like how like getting to the idea of like how you attribute a personality to an inanimate object. And talk about like a water bottle and like then like I just drink it because I'm drinking. But like is then the water bottle? Is it then? Does it want to then be drunk, or like is drinking it then like lose it? You start asking then all these philosophical existential questions, and that informs the direction of the story.
Yeah. Because in a way, to explore a toy's existential crisis is to explore our existential crisis, like what are we here? Yeah, you know what I mean? Like, also I think it just works really well for animation. Because they say that when you make something animated, it should be something you can't do in live action. I don't know how you do this as a live action without it being like an SNL sketch, like I'm a toy, but it's like a human being, right? So that's super.
So then here's a question. I think this is a good then sort of thing to provide some closure. Is how exactly does this high concept then mirror? We talk about how then like it's like parents and stuff. So like when like probably the most profound emotional like Pixar's first big like emotional then moment is of course Buzz's self-discovery and I will go say on no more and that whole sort of thing. So what exactly do you feel is that trying to like parallel or mirror in real life? That someone then can like relate to, and like what are we projecting onto that?
With Buzz specifically, with that story arc,
yes.
That character.
Because like Woody with the jealousy, I think we can understand that. But Buzz, like you could see how that could be like sort of like alienating and a little bit like too far removed.
Yeah.
But like it really lands. So what is it about that?
Well, it lands on the ground.
Yeah.
That's a really interesting question. I think it has to go with this idea of like thinking you're one thing. But then being okay with, like...
Yes.
Not necessarily being okay with something else, because... Not to say, because like in Monsters University, it kind of deals with that, but more in the sense of like, I'm not good at this thing, but I'll figure something else out. Whereas this is more like, I like want to be a basketball player.
Right.
And I can't. I'm like, darn, I'm a basketball player. I can't. I'm not a good basketball player. I can only hit a home run every time. Darn. It's like, well, you can hit a home run in baseball. It's like, yeah, but I don't want to. But you can do that, you know. So I guess it's supposed to be parallel for like what you're capable of, and you might not appreciate those talents. You know, like because he's what he's trying to convince Buzz that he's, you know, worthy of existence. He's like he's like a good toy. Like, you're a toy, right? And he's like, but why would Andy want me? So he's kind of accepting he's a toy, but he's like, I'm not good. Like, why would Andy want me? And what he's like, what do you mean? Why would he want you? You do the whoosh. You glow in the dark. You talk. So I guess to answer your question, it's about appreciating what you are able to do. And it might even be better because Woody even says Woody says that like being a toy is better than being a space ranger. You know. So I probably that. Does that answer your question?
No, I think so too. That's pretty much in line with what I was thinking. Like just this whole then sort of idea of then like maybe like kind of entering the adult world. Like then you have all these sort of then high ambitions, but then you think, oh, then I'm not actually able, like, cut out for this. And then your priorities like shift to family, and it's like, oh, well, is that just sort of, am I like settling for this? But you're not. It ends up being a more fulfilling existence.
Yeah.
So I suppose that's then kind of the...
That's also really interesting.
Yeah.
We're bringing it really to the parent idea. Yeah.
So I think that's probably... Yeah. I never quite articulated that before, but yeah, I think we cracked the code.
I think we finally cracked the code.
Yeah.
Right?
And now we can make our own toys.
Now we can make our own
because
toy
we figured it out. Yeah.
All right. Well, awesome. Well, thank you so much, everybody, for listening.
Yeah.
To our thoughts on The Toy Story. Next episode, we're going to be talking about The Bug's Life.
The Bug's Life. Just the one.
Every movie it starts with the, so it's like The Monsters Incorporated, The Finding Nemo, The Incredibles.
Great.
So thank you everybody for listening, and we'll see you next time.
Bye.